Wednesday. We are wizards, and today is effing Wizard Wednesday. Coming back to you from the dead, through the quantum downs. This is Elf, and joining me today is the puppet with godlike charisma.
Dota!
And Bear's also here.
What's up?
I'll just sit over here in the corner then.
I know.
No fun intros.
Eating a pizza.
If anyone has godlike charisma, it's the man who opens doors.
That's true.
Well, I'm not eating pizza. I'm actually eating mozzarella sticks.
I just had a s'mores. My kids made s'mores in the microwave, and I was like, yes, we're doing this.
S'mores?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. I didn't get an invite.
I'm gonna cough through this whole thing, guys. But I was just telling Dota the other day. I feel like I'm the only one who ever gets sick. Like Dota's been sick a few times, but he just like powers through it and is able to just operate totally normally. And I don't know how you do it.
I just sleep it off. I'll like sleep for like 15 hours and then be healed from there. So.
And Bear, you've never really been sick either. Like both of you, it annoys me.
It's like either you're an alpha or you're not. I don't know what to say. It's just in the DNA. I mean, you're either born with it or not.
Fantastic.
We'll take care of you. Thank
you.
Yeah, we'll buy you chicken soup.
Awesome. Well, let's off the top. Let's just give a big happy birthday to Tanya Del Rio.
Happy birthday,
Happy
Tanya!
Birthday! Let's go!
Oh, I'm glad you were born. I'm glad you joined the cult.
Same. So that's probably the peak of the show.
That's a wrap.
Because another thing has been happening this week. Guys, there's a bunch of goblins in the Bahamas that are just fucking our shit up. What is going on?
Scream!
Yeah. Sad.
Maybe you guys touched on this last week when I was out, but like, damn.
We did. Okay. We did. I think it's just wild. It's wild, like how everyone just completely misread that situation. I feel like SBF was crypto's darling child, and then all of a sudden turned chief villain. Once you kind of, it's funny how you like reinterpret things, right? That sort of like you kind of always think that like genius is a little weird, right? And so it's kind of hard to tell when SBF gets on, news shows and is like shaking and is weird and awkward. We're all like, well, that's just how genius is. But then like when you realize like it was complete smoke and mirrors and the emperor has no clothes, that it's like, no, he's just a weird dude who's like overconfident and doesn't realize that he's like just stealing money from people.
And loves methamphetamines. I will say something that, like, after last week, I think we probably all experienced a little bit of overload on news. Something that I don't know how to solve it, but gosh, there was so much misinformation going on. And it's just, gosh, people should really like take a breath before they start like sharing information, because there was a lot of like horrible stuff being.
It's
sad.
wild.
Yeah.
You can just get boosts for anything, right? Like people just say anything. I don't know. I feel like part of it is just like it's just that we're not like adapted to social media yet, right? Is that like kind of like we just got social media in this generation, and so it's almost like I don't know, electricity or just machinery in general that people just like didn't know like to be careful of its like flaws. I think our children will do a lot better.
I know exactly what you're talking about, Dota. It's like the democratization of information on the surface sounds like a great thing. Citizen journalism sounds like a great thing. I certainly do not like the old days of the gatekeepers and the establishment controlling all of these very important things, but it is certainly not a panacea either. There is just as much potential for misinformation and just downright lies to spread as ever before. But yeah, I mean, I think you're nailing it with just we as a species have to learn what to do with this new tool. We need to hone our media literacy skills. And it's we're going through this really awkward transition period right now, so we'll see how it goes. Well, I've got a lot of things to talk about today. I want to maybe start with just a few cult questions I saw in the Secret Tower. Matto was asking, hope you're feeling better. That's not really a question, Matto. That's just a well wish. But thank you. Yeah, I am feeling better. And then Tanya is asking, is there a specific hangout during Miami? Bear, do you want to speak on that?
Yeah, so I think I was trying to gauge the temperature on how many Wizzies are going to be down there. It seems like there's going to be quite a few. So I think there is nothing scheduled just yet, but we will definitely have a time and a place. It'll be low key. It's not some crazy event, but yeah, we're definitely going to put some information out about where we can all hang out one evening. So stay tuned.
Yep, I'm looking forward to that. And then Sharon, this is such a Sharon question. She says, what is your favorite food to eat for Thanksgiving? Now, the reason I say that's a Sharon question is because, I don't know, I just have a hunch that Sharon probably cooks a real mean Thanksgiving dinner. Could be wrong.
No,
But,
I same vibes. I get those vibes.
yeah. My favorite is mashed potatoes. What's yours, Bear?
Stuffing.
Yeah,
That's good.
that's
Dota.
mine too. Miss
Yeah.
Dota makes a really mean stuffing, but really the mashed potatoes, gravy, turkey, really all around is just excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah, we gotta
Pumpkin
have
pie.
gravy. We gotta have gravy on the stuffing, just to be
Yeah,
clear.
and I'll eat like pumpkin pie for breakfast the next morning, and I really shouldn't, but it's so
Oh,
good.
yeah. Jitsi, do you have a favorite?
Oh, I'm up here. Martinelli's.
Cobalt.
I didn't even realize I could join as a speaker. I actually am obsessed with Martinelli's. Like,
Oh
is
yeah,
a Thanksgiving tradition. I literally could just have that be my meal. Give me like 2 of those bottles, and I'll just like, all right, this is all I need.
incredible.
Wait, the apple juice is the meal?
Yeah, dude. Stay cobalding.
Jitsi, that's not a Thanksgiving item.
What? I want to hug you right now. I'm so sorry.
I lead a weird lifestyle.
Oh, that's great. Okay, and then Matto asked one more question. How do I feel about the little shark pet not being ginned? Well, to be honest, I'm a little disappointed, and I put 100% blame on Dota. So,
Yeah, it's true.
I didn't
Yeah,
want it in there anyway. We talked about this last week while you were sick, and we totally buried you.
yeah.
wait, what'd you say?
Well, Bear was saying that he doesn't like it. He doesn't like the idea of a land shark, which isn't the reason it didn't make it in, but fair enough.
Or is it?
Yeah, or is it? I actually don't put blame on Dota. I think it's maybe Bear.
And just to be clear, I like sharks. I just feel like in a warrior collection, like, I mean, eventually we're going to explore the oceans, and that's where sharks live.
Well, and what I mentioned last week was the reason that it didn't make it in was because a little bit of inside baseball. So Elf and I manage kind of all of the metadata for the gens in Google Sheets, and so this shark companion was basically marked as requiring pirate affinity. Rather than saying it had pirate affinity and so it should sort of like closely bind to other pirate traits, it actually said it requires pirate affinity in all of the other traits as well, the other 5 traits as well. And so because there was no 5 of 5 or warrior 6 of 6, whatever, because there was no 100% affinity pirate character that also got that shark collected. Maybe someone can correct me that there's 100% pirate affinity, but I don't think so. That shark was never generated. So yeah,
So
that's
it's
something
also
we know to watch out for.
kind of my fault because I didn't fill out
Right.
the spreadsheets
Just a
properly.
big failure all around.
It was the quantum shadow, you guys. That's
Yeah.
whose fault it is. Okay, so that is actually all the cult questions I saw for the day. I think a few other things I wanted to hit on. I wanted to hit on the lore of the Yellow Hats, and then but then maybe even before that, I wanted to just talk about like some insight, not a realization that I had recently. Let's put it that way. So I don't know. I guess I'll launch into it. A few weeks ago, there was this. It was called the Lord of the Rings Web3 experience. And I realize this happened a while back, and it's kind of late to talk about it now, but I'm gonna do it anyway. I think most of you saw what it was. It was on Twitter, and it was mostly the target of a lot of mockery and derision, because the product just had this look of like an extras menu from an old DVD. And like you look at it and you get the sense that Warner Brothers or whoever was in charge of this just has no freaking clue what Web3 or NFTs is about. And it what really like struck me was that these legacy IP companies, they're going to have a really hard time retrofitting their IP into Web3. We're in this really funny transitional period where these companies they see the volume in the NFT space and they want a piece of it, but if they try to retrofit their old business models into this Web3 rubric, it just falls flat. And the reason is it's because they're looking at the volume. They're not looking at the tech. They're not looking at the communities, and they're not looking at the creative. And so, you think about like the Tolkien estate, for example. They're not going to just create 10,000 new characters to put into Middle Earth. If they tried that, the fans would hate them. The handful of new characters that they created for the Rings of Power are not really very well liked, because Lord of the Rings is Gandalf, it's Sauron, it's Frodo, it's all the characters we already know. You can't just throw them away and create a bunch of new characters, because then it's not Lord of the Rings anymore. It's not that franchise. And they're certainly not going to fractionalize ownership of Gandalf or Frodo, because that cuts against the very core of their business model. And so the franchise is the characters. The fan base is already set. And so I'm going to apply this to pretty much every established franchise out there. They're stuck with their characters, and they're going to have a hard time creating a bunch of new ones, at least at scale. And so what this means is that we and you all are very, very early, because these companies will soon realize that if they want to get in on this game, if they want a piece of this volume, they're going to have to well, they only have two options as far as I see it: create their own NFT project from the ground up, or buy a very successful one that's already out there.
Boo!
And they always do the latter. Let's be honest. They can afford to wait it out, and then they just buy something that's already working, and then they market it more.
Exactly. 9 times out of 10, they would rather just buy success than gamble on creating something new. And so really, it's just my realization isn't so much as I already knew their business model didn't work, but what I'm realizing, it's also their IP, their creative property isn't going to work either. They have to create something new or buy something that's already there. They can't just scale in the IP that they already own. Their fans won't allow it. They can't fractionalize it. They can't create new characters. And and they're certainly not going to like let their fans create content for the characters they already own, like we do with Forgotten Runes. So, it's just I'm seeing no threat from the legacy media ecosystem. There's no threat at all. Speed running a franchise becomes that much easier when the top franchises from the last 100 years aren't even in the race.
Yeah, one of the things that you alluded to is acquisition, and I think that like the way that I don't think that you are hinting at anything there is just like you are thinking through the paths of like an existing IP.
This was my way of finally telling them that Disney's offered us a buyout.
Yeah,
I'm joking. Go ahead, Dota.
thanks for that. Yeah, I know. Now we have the rumor
Fake
mill.
news.
The when people were asking about that, like Yuga acquired Tank ATF, and the way that I feel about like Forgotten Runes is there's this really famous tweet by Notch. So Notch was like the creator of Minecraft, where like before Minecraft had been acquired by Microsoft, he basically tweeted out, he said, "Anyway, my price is $2 billion. Give me $2 billion, and I'll endorse your crap." Right, this is 10 years ago. And really, what actually happened is Microsoft came forward to him with $2 billion, and actually, and he ended up selling or whatever. So I think I'm somewhere similar, right? Like, give me $2 billion, but other than that, like, we're just going to keep working on this, and there's not really any kind of like that's not a goal. It's not a goal to get acquired. The goal is to create this like to become Lord of the Rings, not be acquired by Warner Brothers.
Yeah. Please don't misunderstand me. It's not the buyout part that I want to focus on. It's the I see no competition from them part.
Yeah.
I mean, I do see them implementing Web3 technology at scale. It's not going to be around new IP. It'll be like Disney will use it for ticketing, and there'll be NFTs with stuffies and all that stuff. But I don't. Yeah, I think like the IP, the story is going to be harder for them to track, just because they're so oriented to making money, like one way.
Yep. 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 Yeah. Well, no. Yeah. I mean, not to beat a dead horse, but yeah, it's their business model, but then it's the IP itself as well, and that's sort of the realization that I've had recently.
Speaking of IP, we me and Elf had a really good call with Derek Kolstad. Was that yesterday? Gosh,
Yeah.
it was days ago. It was yesterday. Anyway, it's just to let you all know, it's just it continues to be a pleasure working with him, and I have to say, a lot of what we're doing now is, Derek is creating like broad like structure and characters, and then what's cool about it is Elf mostly will come in and then layer in a lot of the details, the characters from the collection that fit these archetypes that Derek is starting to paint, and like bringing like surfacing locations on the map, and weaving them in organically, and to like watch that process is just, it's such a cool thing. It's like Elf, like I feel like can we like I'll tell can you tell them about that infographic that you made?
Yeah, I was gonna say. So Alpha's made this like giant character. Well, not even it's not even all characters, but kind of like a giant graph of kind of the like relationships of the Runiverse. I don't know how long it'll be till it sees the light of day. Maybe never, but it's really wonderful.
Well, yeah, sure. I can talk about that for a second. So the way I imagine the show being is like a good model I'm looking at is Game of Thrones, where there's not really a main character of Game of Thrones. Like you could make an argument for a big handful of characters that they are the main protagonist, and like even changes from season to season. I mean, we all thought Ned Stark was the main protagonist in season one, and then he dies. The point being is like, this is sort of the model that I want the show to follow. It's definitely not Harry Potter, where there's like an eponymous centralized character who's always in the spotlight and the entire story revolves around them. That's not what we're trying to do. Runiverse is different. The Runiverse has 10,000 characters, and the ideal goal is to fit as many of the cult owners' characters into the show as much as possible. So when you have this big, beautiful tapestry of tons of different characters, and the show is about their interrelationships and their stories interacting with one another, that's sort of the model that I'm trying to follow. So because of that, I went into Figma and I mapped out like 100 different characters so far, and I connected all of them, and I connected all the different places that they live on the map, and just tried to weave this big complex narrative between all these different characters. And then, Derek has also like introduced a bunch of fun character archetypes that he would like to see expressed in the show. And so then part of what I'm doing is taking those archetypes and sort of grafting them on to existing characters that we have. Um, and it honestly looks fucking amazing. Like I showed this infographic to Derek, and like the first split second he saw it, he goes, "Whoa!"
He almost fell out of his chair.
Yeah, yeah.
I almost talk about it like I said this to Elf the other day. I said, like looking at this infographic, and I'm like, I just want to like get a cabin in the woods and stick you in it for a year and have you write a couple novels,
Yeah.
because you're just like bursting at the seams. And I think because we don't have a series of novels to go from, I think these are the types of documents, and sort of deep thinking and development, that we have to create to go off.
Well, we don't have novels, but I'll tell you what my source material is. I just watch what happens every day in the cult. I'm like putting everything that the cult has done into this, but like I give it like the Runiverse veneer. I like spin lore around it, like the Great Burning and Trick or Treat, and just like the fun in jokes I see in Discord. Like, I'm going to say it for the thousandth time. The Runiverse is a reflection of the real world. That means everything the cult does on the daily, on Twitter, on Discord, that stuff is where the magic happens. That is truly the wizards doing their wizardy thing. And so all I have to do is just translate that to the page, and it was expressed in that big infographic.
I do have to call out there were no cucumber dogs in that graphic.
Big shortcoming.
We're gonna have to remedy that.
Not yet, at least. I forgot to tell you, Bear, we're inviting Cheddar Bob to the writer's room, and that's going to be his only contribution.
Every pitch is gonna be a cucumber dog pitch.
Yeah.
Speaking of Figma, I know this is like a hard right turn. Speaking of Figma, Dota shared a pretty cool thing today on Twitter, and didn't the CEO of Figma hit you up about how excited he was?
Yeah, we've got some good like response to the early crypto board game stuff on Twitter. So, well, we actually haven't actually dropped the name of this game yet, or talked really in detail about it, which I'm like happy to do if people are curious.
I don't think anyone wants to know.
Okay, great. We'll just skip it.
No, talk about it.
I'm joking.
So yeah, all right. So basically, well, Elf, I'll let you kind of talk more about the lore, but really, this game is set in Goblin Town, and so this game we're calling the Battle for Goblin Town. And so what I'll do right now is I'll talk through a little bit of kind of like how the game works, some of the like high level mechanics. I obviously need to like write this up into a document, right? Like, of course I do, and I'm going to put together the green paper, which will describe all of the mechanics, the incentive mechanisms, like the gameplay. But I'll just talk through it now because I know everyone's super excited to hear about it. And really, I'm just like busy building. And of course, we've got the whole team, right? So we've got kind of all of our artists. We're working with some other contractor artists. We've got the whole dev team. Niski, Waz, Cosmo are all helping me kind of in the details. So yeah, so this game is, you can think of it as sort of like something inspired by the board game Settlers of Catan. So it's Settlers of Catan, but with like beasts, and it's actually maybe a little bit more like Cities and Knights because you'll also be able to use sort of a something like your wizards and your warriors as kind of player tokens in the game. So so there's like a PvP element to it as well. So if you've never played the game Settlers of Catan, it is a hex grid game. In the tabletop game, the hex grid is somewhat small. I think it's maybe, I don't know, like 4 or 5 tiles from in the radius. Whereas in this game, it will be massive. It's massively multiplayer. So everyone has their own account, and your building in this game is actually tied to your wallet. So there are certain moves that you're going to make in the game that are tied to your wallet that will be non-transferable. But then when you earn some of the things you earn will become NFTs. So there's a giant hexagonal grid, and you can build settlements on some of the tiles, and those tiles emit resources. Those resources are NFTs. And so there are actually 5 different resources in this game, or at least in the first version. And that would be sticks, shards, slime, chickens, and Cobalt Kool-Aid. And so it's with those 5 resources that you'll earn from the buildings that you build. And you'll earn those resources, which will be NFTs, which you can use in the game if you want to build more things and buy more things, or you can trade them on secondary if you decide you want to do that. In order to kind of capture territory, you actually have to build roads. So you'll use your resources to build roads, and all of the settlements that you build have to be connected to the original road infrastructure that you built. And so once you've built a settlement, it can't be unbuilt. Once you built a road, it can't be unbuilt. And it's tied to your player, and your player is tied to your account. So when you build, you have actually are kind of fixing the player on the map for that account. So that also means you have to be really thoughtful in terms of where you build, how you build, be strategic, because it's possible, for example, for you to get hedged in and surrounded. Well, if you've ever played Settlers of Catan, one of the things you'll know is that there is a thief. So the thief would be the little black piece that you move around the board that steals your resources. In this game, one, because it's so large, we need more than one. And two, we don't need thieves, actually. We have the beasts. So the beast masters will be airdropped a beast player token, which they can use to control the beast in this game. And if you have a building that's generating a lot of resources and the beast moves into your neighborhood, then those resources that you earn will actually go to the beast instead of to yourself. And so the beasts act and extract their tax over Goblin Town, and they'll take their resources and their cut. You will obviously want to kind of drive the beasts away from your territory, and so that's where your bands will come in. So your bands will be basically bands of your wizards and warriors that group together into, and they act as like player tokens in this game, and they can go around and they can drive away the beasts. You also will be able to go and let's say there's a road in your way, you'll be able to go and attack or defend and have battles between different bands within the game. So we'll talk more about those mechanics as we go. The pricing for the game is quite interesting. We'll get into the mechanics as we go, but we're actually using some of the technology that came out of Art Gobblers. So in Art Gobblers, they have this thing. It's called a variable rate gradual Dutch auction. You'll see it passed around as a vergda, which is basically a fancy way of saying it's an auction mechanism. It's a lot like a Dutch auction, but it's a little bit different insofar as that it basically targets a rate over time. So maybe I'm getting a bit in the weeds, but the idea is that, let's say you can buy one road per day. If you want to buy more than one road per day, it gets more expensive. And if you want to buy less than one road per day, then it actually gets cheaper to entice you to buy the road. And so, the game should be ideally self-adjusting, and it'll be quite interesting. These games really they like always blow up 100% of the time. I haven't seen any of these crypto games not blow up, so I'm very eager to see if I can design one that lasts forever. But even if it doesn't, it's going to be a lot of fun. So yeah, that's kind of like the TLDR of Battle for Goblin Town. I'll have a lot more kind of like details to release in the coming weeks. I don't think that we'll have it done by Christmas, though I really, really want to. So we're probably realistically looking like January before I have it ready.
I gotta hand it to Dota. He's been wanting to make this game for a long time, and finally we were just like, okay, Dota, if you want to make it, you gotta at least like make it on theme of the universe. And so we gave him all these like new mechanics that he had to implement the beasts, and I mean, just that one thing like suddenly makes it not Catan anymore. It's a totally different game, but
Yeah.
from what I can tell, he's done it successfully.
Yeah, I'm
I
going to try
remember.
to integrate as many of the tokens as we can. So, I mean, a lot of this it's all subject to change, right? I haven't written it down. This is just me kind of like telling the inner crew. Um, but like, for example, when you move across the Runiverse, you will have a certain speed, right? Beasts can move a lot faster than sort of like a band of warriors. I'm going to try to make it so that if you have ponies, you move faster. That seems like that makes sense. And then another thing that I would love to do is some of the items from the Athenium should probably serve as like power ups. So, for example, if you need to kind of repair your structures, or if you need to kind of give boosts to hit points or defense, those sort of objects should be useful there. Though, kind of TBD on the mechanics. I don't want to get ahead of myself. I actually want to ship the game. But we're looking into basically including all of those things.
And remember, the Halloween event. I think a big part of this, which is going to be really fun, is this idea or theme of collaboration cross project. So I'm sure you all remember that everybody who knocked on the Halloween door will get an airdrop of sorts to sort of help get them started playing the game. So there's going to be a lot of sort of fun collabs going on around that, and we're excited to again bring other people into into the universe.
Exactly. When you have the resources to kind of build your initial, let's call it settlement. I don't know if we'll land on that name for the game, but when you have those resources to build, um, well, then you place them and then you start earning yield, and now you're hooked, right? You leave it there and never look at it again, or you can come back and you can play. And so um, we'll be airdropping at least enough resources for like one settlement to anyone who knocked on the Halloween door. So the folks who are on, the folks who came from partner communities will get enough to like come in and play, and hopefully this will be kind of like a second sort of instance for them to get hooked in and know that we build cool stuff even in the midst of a bear. And then of course we'll tier it up from there, right? So like warriors will get more than partners, and wizards will get far more than that. So yeah, it should be really fun. I'm really looking forward to it.
Joda, I remember you called me last holiday, like end of December.
Yeah.
You were like, I was just playing Catan with the family.
Yeah.
I think that's a Web3 game.
Yeah, it's taken me a year to actually get the bandwidth to like really sit down and work it out. So yeah, should be fun. I think it could. Okay, the gas right now cost to like build buildings is on par with the gas to swap on Uniswap, which means it's like on the edge of feasibility for mainnet. But there's enough liquidity on Arbitrum, and like nobody wants to pay like $30 in gas every time they build some buildings. So I think that probably Arbitrum is where I'm gonna launch this. It makes bridging kind of your wizards and warriors and souls over like a bit more involved, but I think people will do it.
I'd love at some point, maybe either today or at another date, like get some of the cult's perspective on Arbitrum and what they think. We're seeing a lot of promise over there.
Yep.
So maybe we talk about that, or we just do it in the Sacred Tower.
Another important component is why Goblin Town? Why this theme? Why, of all the places in the Runiverse, did we land on Goblin Town for this Catan-style game? How about I tell you why?
Please, yeah, please.
I was like, wait, do you know? Do you not know?
So, obviously, for the 1001st time, the Runiverse is a reflection of the real world. And that means not just the world, but also the time that we're living in. What time is it? It is fucking Goblin Town right now. You know this. The market knows this. We are in a deep, dirty rut of goblins. And so, Goblin Town was always on the Runiverse map. But we've never really talked about what's there, why it's there, who's there, what goes on in this degenerate hovel in the elbow of the Runiverse. So Obviously, Goblin Town is a large city full of degenerates, crime rings, illicit contraband. It's run mostly by goblins, yes, but you will also find your fair share of kobolds and ghouls and dark arcanists and evil imps and stray liches and zombies and a whole smattering of unsavory characters.
Evil goats, even.
Lots of evil goats. And while Goblin Town is indeed a hive of scum and villainy, you can still find rare acts of courage and virtue and kindness. And this is where we ask all of you to come in. So, players are essentially competing to become gang lords of Goblin Town. By collecting resources and claiming streets and alleys and city territories, players are asserting their dominance. Um, and so, I think, often these games like Wolf Game and a couple of others, I myself have never played them, but the impression that I get is that it's just a big exercise of degeneracy. And so that, of course, fits perfectly with Goblin Town. But I think it's going to be fun too, right, Dota? It's not just a big DJ play.
It's going to be so fun.
Yeah, yeah, and then Dota also named the resources involved. We've got actually a lot of lore about those, but I think I'm going to save that and talk about it as the game gets closer to launch.
Really, yeah. I mean, I think really like the motivation for this was literally like last year or whatever it was, playing Wolf Game and the Forks and Sheep Game, and then playing, Wizards and Dragons, and then having really high hopes for Raid Party, and like just watching these games, and like I've always loved like idle clickers. So like another game I've wanted to do in crypto forever is like, have you ever played Adventure Capitalist? So it's called Adventure Capitalist, and it's really really fun. And like I've always really wanted. There's another game I've wanted to do, which is uh, it's like a crafting game, and I know you don't really like love crafting that much, but it's called like Alchemy or Little Alchemy. um and that also, I think that could be done in crypto with like all these tokens, and there's like all these games that like now when I play them I'm just like, oh, this could totally be done on chain. It would be so fun. And Catan, of course, is like everyone's favorite board game, and I'm actually surprised that it's taken me a year to build it, and I'm surprised that no one else has built it yet. I'll actually still be surprised if I'm the first one to ship something like this. But really, like, I just love playing Catan. And I was like, I super want to play this on chain. If someone else made this, I would play it. And so I don't really know if people will make money or not at it. Like, I don't know if you'll be able to sell your resources for a profit. I don't know any of that. I just know that, like, I think that this seems really fun. And so, yeah, we're going to try it.
Fun is the antidote to the bear market blues.
Yeah.
That's actually a really good segue into this yellow hat lore thing I want to drop. If you will allow me to dive in.
Of course, please.
So yeah, I just said that fun is the antidote to the bear market blues. Let's expound upon that. So let's talk about the Yellow Hats who live down in Chronomancer's Riviera. Let me start with the question: what is the ultimate cliche goal that everyone aspires to? What is the answer that you most often get when you ask someone, what will you do when you make all your millions? 90% of the time, the answer is, I want to retire and relax on the beach. It's as if that is the greatest achievement any individual human can aspire to. This blissful in state on the beach. And indeed, the market knows this. This is why beachfront properties are the most expensive. And the Yellow Hats know this. They have taken this aspirational prayer of humanity and built their entire spiritual culture around it in Chronomancer's Riviera. The yellow hats look at the phrase life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness not merely as a declaration of their sovereign independence. For them, it is a decree of spiritual liberation. And indeed, happiness and liberation are on full display here in the Riviera. In fact, it might be more accurately described as hedonistic Epicureanism. It is this extreme pursuit of pleasure that is only compounded by the fact that we are dealing with wizards here, after all. And in fact, the primary magical expression is the manipulation of time itself. And so, it's most people who are able to achieve this blissful instate on the beach. The catch-22 is they're too old to actually enjoy it. You work away your youth so that you can sit on the beach when you're old, and that's the hardest time to enjoyment. And so, what is the solution? The solution, obviously, is to use magic to manipulate time itself. And so we see an abundance of time mages and chronomancers in the Riviera. They are using time manipulation to stay young. They're using it to make parties last deep, deep, deep into the night. The old adage, time flies when you're having fun, takes a whole new meaning here. It's as if the very act of having fun and experiencing pleasure is in manipulating time itself. And so the pain of the bear market makes time insufferably drag. And the best antidote to that is to build fun experiences and bring joy back to each other's lives. Because indeed, we in this world can experience the manipulation of time. Time measured by the machine is quite different from time measured by the chronometer of our brains. We can travel back in time through the experience of nostalgia. We can travel to the future through the simple expression of hope. And if you're lucky enough to savor the very moment that you're living in right now, to be mindful of each precious moment of the present, then you can experience infinity, time everlasting, because every moment can be infinitely divisible. And so some may look at the debaucherous parties of the yellow hat culture and see a shallow materialism. And indeed, perhaps for many, that is the depth of their virtues. But you can also find great wisdom in this pursuit of happiness. For what good is the money of the reds, or the knowledge of the blues, or the conservation of the greens, if they don't take the time to enjoy it? And so, I love the yellow hats. I mean, I imagine it's like the vacation destination of the Runiverse. You can think of it like Cabo San Lucas or, any of those beautiful Mexican beaches. Um, but it's, while there's a lot of wild parties going there, undoubtedly being DJ'd by the greatest DJ of the Runiverse, DJ Gwendolyn. I think there really is like a sort of a wisdom in what they're doing, because after all, everybody at the end of the day, at the end of their life, just wants to chill, relax, and enjoy the slippage of time.
Thanks.
Can we go there?
Yeah, I need to go there right now. Yeah.
Wait,
when this
I think
Disney
we're going
buyout
there.
goes through, that's where we're going.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe let's pretend Miami is
Yeah.
the Riviera.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, we've got some really great cult content this week, actually.
Also, I know Meeple Dad wanted to talk about his treasure box. So, Meeple Dad, if you're in the audience, ask to come up and you can speak after we talk about cult content.
Hey, there he is. Now, I just want to say real quick, Meeple, I don't think it's a treasure box. From what I saw, it's a Chad's sack. So is it a sack or is it a box, Meeple?
Hey, how's it going, gang? Yes. There is all kinds of nonsense in this treasure box. There's a Chad sack full of dice. There's board games galore. There's two different card games. There's board games, and much like you talk about, the yellow mages and those who want to enjoy their time can enjoy it with each other, because at the end of the day, that's the thing games give us, is they give us connection to one another. And so much like the yellow wizards enjoy their parties all winter long, we can enjoy our games and party in the Runiverse and in the real world with maybe those around you who aren't as familiar with the Runiverse, who maybe don't know games, don't know wizards. They can at least play board games, and that can be a way for us to share about the Runiverse with new folks. So that's the dream. Hit me up. Sure, yeah, go see. Hit me up if you'd like to learn more, and I will continue to share. And it's the people who already ordered. Yours are going to be out the door at the end of the week, and new orders that come in, we should be able to get them there in time for Christmas. So,
wow,
pretty exciting.
That is a lot of hard work and really exciting. To make it by Christmas, that's so fun.
Everything looks so good.
The number of community members that have come together to design and create all the different aspects of this box are truly phenomenal. I don't even want to get started listing them, because the list just goes on and on, but this really is a community endeavor that we've brought everybody who's making real physical stuff into the room, and to bring these ideas out into the Runiverse until we can go to the Runiverse. We'll bring the Runiverse to us, as Elf always says.
There you go. No, I love it, Meeple Dad. I'm looking at the image of all the goodies in the box, and I can tell you put a lot of effort into this, and it certainly looks like a community-wide effort as well. This is just beautiful. I love it.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having us up, and we'll keep it going. We'll stay tuned in Discord and Twitter.
Yeah, and just tell us one more time, if people want one, how do they get one?
There is an address form that you can fill out. You can head to my Twitter, Meeple Dad, and right pinned at the top of my Twitter is a link to the form there. You can sign up on the form, and we'll get one out the door to you real soon. A little bit of a crypto native way if you want to pay by crypto, or I can send a PayPal invoice if you want to do the Web 2 style and save your crypto. Nobody wants to be selling their ETH in this market, so you may as well pay with fiat, and we'll get them out the door.
Fantastic. So good.
Incredible. Thanks, Meeple.
Thank you so much. Yeah, and you know what? There's another piece of cult content that I've been dying to go over. I was going to do it last week, but I was sick. But it's this amazing tweet that Shark Child, aka Enchanter Orbis, made about. Well, let me just describe it. So it's the imp. Yeah, there it is. It's the imp door, and he's got all his goblins standing in front of it. And it says, "We've been made aware of the Forgotten Runes Nightmare Imp dealing in organ trafficking after we caught Goblin Town WTF buying goblin brains on the black market. Your actions will be dealt with accordingly. We are coming for you." I love this for so many reasons, and let me just tell you why. First of all, it brings lore together of so many different characters. It's got the Goblin Warrior, the Nightmare Imp Beast, and an item, the Goblin Brain in a jar. And the narrative is short and hilarious and compelling and fun. It's just a single little story that now makes the Goblin Brain in a jar more interesting, and it brought value to that item. And then this whole thing contributed to world building, because it gave a whole new chapter in this item's history. It gave a whole new chapter to the imp door. And so, it's no longer just pixels in the void. It now has meaning. And this is just a perfect example of what Forgotten Runes is all about. You get your character token, and when you get them, you have nothing but pixels. But you, as the owner, now you have the power to give those pixels meaning. And you can't do this with a Bitcoin or any fungible token. The meaning of those tokens are defined by the macro market. But with an NFT, that power is totally with you. And so what is great about this particular example is that to me, it was just so compelling, and it attracted the attention of an outside project and outside the Runiverse, the Goblin Town. What the WTF? They carried on with this meme and they retweeted it and they added to it, and the world grew even more because of it. And I always talk about the network effect, and you can apply the network effect in so many different contexts. But in this instance, it's the mimetic stickiness of this fun little piece of lore that expanded the Forgotten Runes network effect all the way through Goblin Warriors, Panico's Beasts, the Goblin Brain item, and then even outside the Runiverse and beyond. And this is what decentralized world building is all about. This is the collaborative legendarium. And I've seen so many cult members do equally brilliant things. I loved Night Owl Birdman's Pimp My Pony video. It was so funny. It worked in so many different characters and so many different in jokes and mimetic pieces of mimetic culture from the Runiverse. Like, I see this happening all the time with things that everybody here is doing, but I don't know, that one just like hit me in just the right way, Shark Child. I thought it was so funny. And then, yeah, another really great piece was from Loxley's Oracle, which I think is retired yield farmers project. Loxley's Oracle now has a new Twitter account. I highly recommend all of you going to follow it. So many beautiful things happening over there. The artwork is just amazing. Like, every single piece of artwork that's dropped is just gorgeous. And again, this is obviously a huge world building effort happening there. So shout out to RYF. Another really great piece of cult content was from one of my favorite shield bearing warriors, Joan Danger of Riff Raff. Her latest piece has got Joan sporting this really nice piece of streetwear jacket. What I really like about this piece is not only does the jacket look cool, but I think this is the first time we're able to see what's on the other side of the shield. And what's really great is, like, the whole time I've been saying, like, this is a warrior with a shield and no weapon. Oh no, that's not true. She's got weapons sitting within that shield, ready to be deployed at any minute. So that's a really nice piece. And then the Runes TCG, Give a Hoot's card project. It's making more and more progress. They tweeted out a really nice tweet lately. Just a nice illustration of the game being played in a tavern. I've been seeing new cards come from that from that game. They're looking really good.
I'm sharing all these up in the space, by the way, if folks want to take a look.
Yep. And then another great world building piece that I've been seeing happen is from Mester Brown, the Funny Bunny, who has taken the whole doll theme and just ran with it. Maybe we talked about this last time, but it deserves more recognition. I'm loving all the little dolls that are happening, and I'm definitely not the only one. Every time I see one drop, people just lose their shit because they're so cute. And then Mr. Brown also, speaking of the sharks, did this really great baby shark parody with the shark that never was in the Runiverse. And there's even a fun little song to go with it. And then Hen Boyd shared this really great illustration of a rabbit holding a knife. And I got to tell you, Hen Boyd, as soon as I saw that, I immediately went online to look up that killer rabbit scene from Monty Python's Holy Grail. And I was in tears rewatching that scene. It is so stupid. And so that's what this little rabbit holding a knife made me think of. And then I got to give a shout out to Emma, who has continued with just all these great Runiverse film posters. What's great about these film posters is not just the fact that she puts like Runiverse heads on the characters, but all the the flavor text on the poster, like it's all customized for the Runiverse. Always really good stuff.
I have my own franchise going over there. I think I have like 3 or 4 like Indiana Jones style movies coming out. Thank you, Emma.
Amazing.
Yeah,
You're like the Brad Pitt of the Runiverse.
yeah, exactly. That is a more accurate description has never been uttered.
I really don't think that.
And then a project that caught my eye that I really don't know anything about, but it looks awesome, is the Black Sand Pony Racing. Do you guys know anything about this?
No, but it looks amazing, but I haven't tried it, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, me neither.
Anybody want to come up and talk about Black Sand Pony Racing? Because I would like to know more. Yeah.
Yes, me too.
Just shared a tweet about it.
Also, shout out to Sorcerer Hadrian of the Quantum Shadow. He's working on a pretty cool game, Champions Ascensions, and I think he's doing some type of giveaway. We can share the tweet later, but that's cool. There's some fun stuff in there.
Yep. And then another piece I've been wanting to talk about is the Cabinet of Curiosities. I know, Dota, you touched on it like 2 weeks ago, and I wasn't really listening. Can you just tell me what that is?
I don't know what it is. Oh,
it's Guillermo del Toro's television series.
So there's like the Lorb. Is that what you're talking about? The Lorb?
Yeah, you got it.
Okay, so the Lorb is basically what they did is they took the Book of Lore. So a few months back, Niski added character references to the Book of Lore, so that way you can hyperlink from one character to another. This was used in particular by Meth with in concordance with the 1 of 1 fun with. And they wrote lore that had interconnected characters, and so other people have done this as well. And the lorb converts each piece of lore into like a star, and then if there's a connection between two like wizards or two stories, it draws a line which kind of creates a constellation as like a sort of 3D graph. And so you can kind of traverse the lorb. You should try it. You try it in your browser. It works better on your desktop. And then you're able to kind of like visualize connections between the character as recorded in the Book of Lore. So it's just like functional and beautiful and like interesting. And yeah, I really love it. I could see us putting something like this on our website, frankly.
No, I love it too. What's interesting is it reminds me of like the map thing that I made for the show, just like in a way cooler with a way cooler UI.
Yeah.
And I think the creator of it is up here. V-Mark, aren't you responsible for it?
Hey, yeah, I commented it. So yeah, in the larger context is the Cabinet of Curiosities, which is like one of those places in the universe where you don't know you are headed, but you end up there when you need it.
Yeah.
And it's a magical item workshop of Impy of the Toadstools.
Oh, nice.
So the Lorb is one of his creations. And
I love it.
Hopefully it will be followed up by many others.
I certainly hope so too, because I remember somebody doing an illustration of the actual Cabinet of Curiosities and thinking, I freaking love this place. I want to know what's inside of it. And now the one of the items is the Lorb. What a fun name as well. I was so well done, man.
Thanks.
Very cool. And then Give a Hoot. Did you want to say something?
Hey, yeah, how's it going? Happy Wizard Wednesday, everyone. So two things. One, I wanted to quickly talk to the pony racing. I'm not sure if Legatus is around, but that's his creation. I mean, if you don't know who Legatus is, he's a new cult. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, a new cult member, but he like has been off to the races. No pun intended. Like just doing so much stuff around the cult. Obviously, doing like the warrior competitions with the lore. And then his pony racing is a new thing that he whipped up where he's going to combine like Twitter poll voting with also a neat mechanic that involves using the Forgotten Runes Impbox treats as a way to feed your pony to get them to go faster.
I love it.
What?
Like
That's
how
incredible.
sick is that? Like basically, if you've the certain treats map to certain dice that you can roll, and whatever you roll will add to like your point total. And like so freaking creative, so much fun, and like within like a week, like these treats are being worked into like Forgotten Runes like cult content and lore. So like, I mean, hats off to Legatus, who's like just seriously come out of the gates, just like really building some really cool stuff for the cult.
Come out of the gates indeed. Thank you, Legatus. Man,
Yeah.
you guys are the freaking best. All of you. Literally all of you.
And then
blow my mind every
actually
day.
one thing about runes, I've been kind of teasing a few cards to people, as Elf mentioned, because we're getting really close to finishing the set. And one thing that I was thinking is that I might actually try and hold like weekly sessions where people can kind of come and all get together and play runes cards, because part of the issue about runes is like finding someone to play with. So I'm thinking that every Thursday at 8 p.m. EST, I'm going to hold like runes card sessions. And so if anyone's around, I'll be posting way more about it in Discords here and there and stuff. But yeah, kind of starting to ramp up some of the kind of community building and just playing some more runes games, because the card set's coming real fast, and I can't wait to start showing people some of the cards. So just throwing that out there as well.
Fantastic.
The cult is just bubbling. It's bubbling out of the cauldron.
That's right, Bear. Anything else, guys?
I think we're good for now. Magus Wazir waifu just dropped.
Max Wazir's waifu just dropped?
From Castamiri XBI posted up top.
That was a weird delivery, I'm just going to say it.
Well, it's in the pinned tweets. It's a weird picture.
Hey, man, the cult is weird. We just deliver the news. We're not here to make judgments.
I'm a little loopy today. I apologize.
Same. All right. Well, this has been Elf, Dota, Bear Snake, Jitsi, V-Mark, Give a Hoot, Meeple Dad, Matatsuki's waifu, and the entire cult of Forgotten Runes Wizards. Putting their rune on the door. Channeling out from the Quantum Downs. See ya, everybody.
Bye, witches.